Welcome back, Sethbling here. I recently picked up Escape Simulator. This is a game that lets you play and make escape rooms. It's got a bunch of built-in escape rooms that come with the game, but there's also community escape rooms. I've actually been building several. So today I want to show you one of my levels. It's called the King's Dungeon. If you have the game and want to try it out, you should probably stop watching the video now because this is going to spoil everything about the level. I'm going to do a walkthrough and then talk about the game design and how I built the level, how it all kind of came together. If you want to play this room, you just go to play solo or play co-op. You can go down to community rooms, go to browse, and then you can search for King's Dungeon, or if you're watching this shortly after the video came out, it's actually already on the front page because it's one of the more popular levels currently. But King's Dungeon, and you'll find it right there. So you'll be able to download it and play it. But today I am going to show you, the walkthrough. Let's start that right now. So click play. So you find yourself in a cell in a dungeon. I'm going to treat this as if you're sort of like new to this and you haven't seen the room. So there's some other cells. You can see there's one over there, there's one over there, there's one next door. Something has happened and they've boarded up between the two cells. Not very well. There's a skeleton dude next door. He's got a poster. All these rooms have buckets, including my own, and beds. Over on these shelves over here, there's some stuff. There's like a blue set of pliers, some sort of green candle holder thingy. There's this red, I don't even know, attachment point. So let's start off by, we can't actually reach anything on that shelf. So the only thing we can reach here is this bucket. So let's drag the bucket over a little bit closer so we can see what's in it. There is a red rope inside of it. This rope can be attached to this red attachment point. And the shelves, we can drag the shelves right over. And now we can reach the pliers. Can't reach anything else on the shelf. We can reach the nails, but you can't pick those up. The pliers are blue, these nails are blue. Let's go to town. So as you take off the nails, the boards will come off the wall. And we can't quite go through yet, but once we take off the final pair of nails, the board falls off, then we can kind of sneak on through. Okay, so now we're outside of the cell, and let's explore a little bit. There's the poster, there's this skeleton dude, there's two locked cells, there's this shelves. There's actually a candle within reach, but I couldn't actually see it around this side of the shelf. We'll come back to that candle later. Candle is sort of green. It was in this candle holder. There's this green candle holder. Again, we'll come back to it later. Outside of the cell, there's the guard room and the main floor. There's a sign over there that indicates those. Some random things over there. There's this sign that says keys, and it's attached to a wheel, and I can actually spin this wheel and bring one of those keys within reach and grab it. And that'll go to this cell over here. This cell over here has some old looking food. This banana doesn't look very good. There's a skull, there's a bucket, nothing in it. Let's explore some more. This poster looks suspicious. Indeed, it can be moved. This is a Rita Hayworth poster revealing an escape tunnel. There's a pickaxe here. This guy was trying to make an escape tunnel. This, of course, is a reference to Shawshank Redemption. Inside, we see a chest with some interactable elements. As we slide these around, we'll notice that they sort of overlay the existing picture. And if we get everything into alignments, then the chest will open and the key will float on out. This is the key to this other cell over here. So this room, not much in it except this bed can be dragged around. And underneath it, there's a skeletal hand holding a mug that has some weird red things. If you press space, you can sort of inspect objects. Nothing on top, but if we look on bottom, there's some garbled text. And you can interact with that. And if we drag it around, you'll notice that some of the text kind of moves. And you can get it into alignments if you're very careful. And these things on top are sort of like the handles for the text, the different parts of the text. And if we get everything into alignment, it reads a message. I paid off one of the guards to leave the key in Maria's food tomorrow morning, but I don't think we're going to make it. They've been poisoning us so that they can slack off. I can hear her retching in the next cell over. It's looking bad. All right, well, in the next cell over, there is some food. And if we look carefully inside of Maria's food, the guard did leave the key. Unfortunately, she never got a chance to use it. So we got another key, and that's going to go to the one remaining lock that we have access to. And the door will open. Okay, so we've already interacted with this room a little bit with this keys wheel. But now this hallway is accessible to us. There's, let's see, a sign over here that says stop. There's always at least one guard on duty upstairs. We need to find another way out. And I cannot go upstairs. And there is a guard up there. He's sort of like hanging out. Hasn't noticed me, luckily. I'll have to be quiet. There's also a guard. This is the guard room door. It's got a 4-digit combo lock. We need to find the combo to that lock. So the one thing we haven't used yet is this candle, and there's this candle holder here. So when you put it in the candle holder, it sort of shines a light on the wall, indicating the number 2. There's another one over here, indicates the number 5. There's another one right here, number 8. And another one way over here next to where we found the original candle, shines the number 1. If you looked around, there would be no more candle holders. These are the only 4. So there's 4 candle holders, 4 numbers, 4 digits to the combo lock. I don't know if you're suspicious, but I'm suspicious. So you'll also notice that each of these candle holders is on top of a book. Yeah. And there's also 4 books right next to this 4-digit combo lock. So if we look, this one corresponds to this one. And if we put the candle in, number 2. So the first digit of the combo is number 2. So we'll enter that. Second digit of the combo is this yellowish book, which was the very first one we found over here. It was the number 1. Enter 1. Yes. The third one was over here. This was 8. And then the remaining one was 5. So that is the combo to the lock. It'll open and the door will open up. So now we're in the guard room. There's some things around the room. There's a notice. Entrance to emergency tunnel has collapsed. Repair team has been scheduled for next week. Please use alternate means to leave the castle. That indicates that us as prisoners, we don't have to try and sneak past that guard if we can somehow use this emergency tunnel. Although the entrance has collapsed. Maybe we can find some way to fix that. There's a card game. The guards have been slacking off and playing cards instead of watching the prisoners. There's lockers over here. There's a bunch of nails. There's some weapons. There's some drinks, and there's some books. There's also this confiscations box, emptied every Wednesday. It's got another 4-digit combo. 4, again, we're seeing the number 4 a lot. There's 4 players at the card game. There's 4 lockers. There's also, if we explore this locker, there is a white paper that we can pick up. So let's go ahead and take a look at this. Dear Diary, today was so much fun. We added a fun twist to our card game. Everybody got to pick a new digit for the combination, starting with the winner. I didn't quite win, but I still loved adding some stakes to our daily game. I'm so glad we have fewer responsibilities now. Of course, that's indicating that they've successfully poisoned some prisoners, and now they don't have to spend as much time watching them. So let's take a look at the card game, because the letter indicates that's how they chose the digits for the combo lock. If we look at this one, it's a pair of 2s is what this hand is. This one is 3 7s. This one has, it's a royal flush. How lucky. And this one is a full house, queens over 6s. So the letter said everybody got to pick a new digit for the combination, starting with the winner. So the winner was this one, of course, royal flush. It's this guy who stuck a dagger into the table. Second place was this full house. And if you'll notice, if you look around anyway, there's this book under his chair. And there's a bunch of books in the locker over there. So it would seem that the guy who was second place is the guy who has all these books in his locker and wrote, I didn't quite win. So it all checks out so far. Third place was over here with the bottle and the wine. It was the 3 sevens. There is, of course, a locker with drinks. And last place, pair of twos is not a very good hand. The guy with the hammer. He's got some nails and an anvil. So going in order from winner to loser, it was weapons, books, drinks, smith. And if we count the number of objects in here, because they each got to pick a digit for the combinational lock, the weapons guy likes the number 3. He's got his 3 favorite weapons. The books guy likes the number 8 because he's got 8 books. The drinks guy likes the number 4. That's his number of cups. And then the smith likes the number 6 as the number of nails. So entering all that in. 4. What was the second one? Is books. 8. No, it was 3. 3 weapons, 8 books, 4 drinks, and 6 nails. And that's the combo. And inside is this TNT, which we can use to blow a hole in the emergency tunnel. There's this nice padded spot for us to place the TNT. The fuse actually will drop, and let's get away from it before it explodes. And the notice sort of floats down to the floor. I really like that animation. And now we've got a new tunnel. The guard, we should get out of here before the guard comes. So the tunnel leads to an escape from the castle. There's a nice raft prepared for us, fully loaded with goodies, and that is the end of the level as you walk out that portal. So that's the full walkthrough for the room. Let's go over it again, but I'll talk about some of the considerations when making this level. So here's the editor. This editor is pretty nice. I have to say, I was really impressed with how they made the editor simple enough that it was easy to pick up, but it's also very expressive. You can do a lot of stuff. Obviously, like, I made this whole level with this editor. Probably took like total of 10 hours or something, 8 to 10 hours. I did it over the course of about 2 days. You'll notice that there's some things that were invisible when we were playing the level. There's some triggers and some obstacles. There's some weird stuff outside of the level. But yeah, if you want to look at the whole level, this is the whole level. Yeah. I'm gonna actually go through it again, but like talking a little bit more about how I designed the room and sort of like some considerations of how to think about what the player is seeing and how they're going to solve the puzzle. So the first thing is that you're trapped in a cell and really nothing can be interacted with. I mean, there's this bucket in your room, I guess, but like it's empty and it doesn't really do anything. So the beginning of the room, I wanted it to be something that's like really simple. It explains sort of what the room is going to be about and how you sort of need to think about things. So there's this stuff that's out of reach, but it is very clearly colored as important, right? These are weird colors for pliers to be, or this like hook. And then you're also supposed to explore. And so as you look around in the room next door, you do eventually notice another bucket. You'll also, I did specifically put buckets in view so that you could see that each cell had a bucket, and you can maybe predict that there's a bucket next door. So then as you drag this bucket over and you're able to inspect it, this rope is a bright red color. And of course the red matches the red from the shelf over here. If you weren't sure what to do, you might think, oh, I need to attach it to the handle or to these nails or the boards or something. Maybe I'm making a noose, but the red color matches and indicates that you're supposed to do that. And then we got a little animation here. And now there's, again, only one thing in reach. So it sort of forces your hand. This is a tutorial, right? There's only one thing you can do, and the thing you can do is learn how to play the level. So now you've got the pliers, and they're very blue. And again, there's these very blue nails. And it's just sort of obvious that you need to use them together. And once you've basically used the pliers on all the nails that you can, then the boards come down, and that's when the level opens up. And so at this point, you can go through here. Yeah, so this is a Shawshank Redemption fun little reference. I'm not going to spoil it any more than that, but yeah. These are actually gravestones. All of these stones that make up the escape tunnel. This was a fun puzzle to put together. There's actually like little invisible obstacles around each of these sliders that keep the block in place. And there's little triggers that trigger on the blocks being in the correct location. Anyway, it's actually pretty straightforward to make a chest like this, like open and have the key animate up like that. The editor is really cool. Maybe I can show you. So let's see. So at this point, there's like a couple things you can do. There's kind of like, there's the poster. You can go for the guard wheel, or the wheel with the keys that I showed you earlier. And there's also the candle. And so it opens up a little bit. If you're playing with multiple players, that'll allow multiple people to kind of explore things. So you get the candle, but you can put the candle a couple places. There's really nothing to do with some numbers yet. If you were like observant, you would notice that there was another candle holder out there, and that there's a lock on that door. And so you might be able to figure out that like it's not time to use the candle yet. The keys, these keys don't go to both doors. So you just have to try holding it in front of the door and seeing which one it goes to. The key that's in this food actually doesn't spawn until you've gone into the other room and picked up the mug. There's a trigger right in front of this bed that actually spawns the key. Basically, I wanted to minimize the chances that you just accidentally found the key. It's pretty well hidden, but still didn't really want that to happen by accident. So there's sort of like the hand on the mug indicates that like the person specifically was doing something with this mug, the person who was occupying this cell. And so there's like a little narrative here, right? This mug was interesting. I colored these bright red so that you'd be able to tell that there's something weird about this mug. This was a fun puzzle to put together. There's like 3 transparent textures that are linked to these knobs, and so they kind of overlay. This is non-trivial to do, but it's not that hard either. The editor allows custom textures, so. Yeah, so once you get them all in alignment, and of course they don't have to be aligned like that, like they could be rotated. Like you can rotate all 3 textures, but yeah, and there's that little story about paying off a guard to leave a key. Oh yeah, so if you put the mug down, it's fine. If you try and like throw the mug, oh actually that worked better than I. Oh, maybe they fixed. Oh, cool. There was an update yesterday, and I think they might have fixed the physics a bit. This object has like some because these handles sort of like intersect with the mug. There's some wonky physics, but anyway, looks like they fixed some of it. Once you go in there and pick up the mug, the key spawns here. You can see it's like kind of hard to find by accident, but like if you were like suspicious of this food in this room, even without the mug, you might look for the key. So, but yeah, you can grab the key. There's nothing else in this room. It's just the key that lets you get out of the gate. So yeah, the next part is, so there's the guard up there. I actually want to show you that guard in the editor because it's pretty silly what I had to do to make a guard, but you will notice that if I zoom in, he's got sort of like an idle animation where he just sort of shifts his weight from one foot to another. I think it looks pretty good, but when I show you that later, it's not going to look so good. When you put the candle into one of these candle holders for the first time, oh, I guess I already put it in. Anyway, there's a sound. There's like a do-do-do-do sound that indicates that you've done something, and like it's a secret. There's like a little like light shiny effect, which I think is cool. It like shines the light onto the wall. I colorized these books so that you wouldn't mistake them. Basically, anything that's kind of colorized like this, and especially because it's color coded with the lock, you're just naturally suspicious of those like weirdly colored objects. But not too much to say about the candles puzzle. I tried to make it very obvious that each one was sitting on a book. So like, I don't know, they're just in places where you wouldn't necessarily expect books to be. I guess this is a dungeon. I wouldn't really expect books to be any of these places, but the combo is 2185. I like this animation on the lock. I tried to make it so that it would look like the lock is like resting on these things, and basically I wanted it to be like physically plausible. I had to like manually animate where this lock goes. It's not like gravity is affecting this lock or anything. Anyway, so you get in the guard room. This is the final puzzle, and I wanted to make it a little bit more complicated than the rest of these. The rest of this stuff I think is like relatively simple. You might not notice for a while that there's like the 4 books next to the guard door. That's probably the biggest obstacle to figuring out what the combo is for this guard door. This one definitely has multiple steps though. There's you know, noticing that there's an order in which the players won the game, noticing that each player corresponds to one of the lockers via these objects on the desk or next to the desk or table, and then counting the number of objects. So again, I colorized these objects all differently. There's like sort of brown nails and yellow weapons, blue goblets, and yellow books. And this sort of yellow book corresponds to these yellow books. Yeah, and then the diary entry, of course, tells you. So it said starting with the winner, and I didn't quite win. So you might think starting with the winner means like starting with the winner and then, I don't know, going around clockwise or something. So I put, everybody got to pick a new digit for the combination starting with the winner. I didn't quite win. So that indicates that like there's various degrees of winning, right? Because that's true in a poker hand. There's a winner, there's a second place. And you don't always care. In a lot of poker games, you don't really care about who's second place, right? Or who's third place. But in this case, we do, because it's the ordering of the combo. So, oh, I got an alarm going off. All right. But yeah, so there's just like a couple of leaps of indirection you need to make from, you know, winning hand, whose hand is it, which locker is theirs, how many objects are in the locker. And when you do that, you get 3, 8, 4, 6. And then we get the ending sequence. It's pretty obvious what you do with TNT in a block tunnel, right? So of course, in this game, you can't get hurt. There's no like concept of damage or anything. You could stand as close to that as you want. It's not going to hurt you. These rocks, basically all these rocks were sort of in place here, and I animated them so that they're scattered around the room. It actually looks all right for an explosion, because there's these sort of smooth animations of all the rocks going around the room. But the guard is, of course, he's just standing there. He doesn't care. These, oh yeah, you can walk right through this. You don't actually have to crouch. There's no, in this game, anytime you can crouch through a hole, you can also walk through that hole. So, and then this tunnel is made again of gravestones. Just a bunch of flat gravestones in a curved pattern. And there's a raft over there. It looks like the ocean or something. But of course, when we go to the editor, it is very far from that. It is just a flat plane of cyan. That's all it is. And then this is supposed to look like this big slate. It's supposed to look like the castle wall. And so when you're when you're down here and you're behind the portal effect, everything's wavy. It's hard to tell what's going on. Let's go take a look at that guard, because the guard. So there's only one like model in this game that looks like a person, and it's a spacesuit, because there's some space levels built into the game, and it comes from that. So I had to like keep adding things. Like you can't subtract anything from the spacesuit. I guess you could take away the helmet. I could have replaced the helmet with like a skull and a hat. I don't know, but basically I needed it to look like from down here, from down here, that the guard was like a medieval guard. And so I added these to look kind of like a cape. They have a texture that looks like this, this banner. I also can't put lighting up here. You can't actually move any of the lighting sources in this game. They're all like near the ground level. If you have a second floor, it's just going to be unlit. like this, which actually helped the illusion because the less light on this thing, the better. But the feet are my favorite parts. These are just stretched barrels, but they look pretty good when you're down here and you just like can't see up there very well. Yeah, so I did a lot to make things more visible. A lot of the colorized objects were not in the first, or a lot of the objects that are colorized now were not colorized in the first version of the level. I think people were finding it kind of hard because it was hard to tell which objects mattered and which objects didn't. Like these books, I think a lot of people missed that the books mattered. The candle here was not green. The pliers weren't blue. Some people were having a hard time figuring out to use the pliers or to use the rope on this little hook over here. It may seem obvious after watching the walkthrough, but when you're in a level and you don't know like what the mindset of the level creator is, you know, this could be a puzzle where you have to like count the number of nails that are blue and the number of nails that are silver, and like, I don't know. You just never know what the puzzle's actually going to be. So in retrospect, things look easy, but when you're doing the level, anything is possible, right? And so yeah, colorizing these objects I think helped a lot with the readability of the level and just drawing attention to the right things. These circles and triggers over here were necessary because of just a desynchronization bug. But basically, when you use the pliers on the nails, what happens is each nail when you put the pliers in moves one of these balls into the trigger area, and these triggers are used for these locks, like logical lock objects, and the lock objects animate the boards off the wall. Anyway, there's some funky things you have to do sometimes to just get your level to work right. There are still some bugs in the game. It's not that buggy overall, but there's this obstacle. So these boards you can actually walk right through. So I had to put an obstacle object here. It's this red thing that prevents you from walking through the boards. That obstacle gets moved out of the way once you have removed all the boards from the wall. Yeah, again, these are gravestones that I used for the interior of this this escape tunnel. This actually is a pillow. The top of the bed is a pillow that I stretched way out. Yeah, painted the banana. I don't know. There's a lot of fun little details of how you actually go about making the level. This is the trigger that turns on that basically enables the key. You can see the trigger has a red line over here, and it's linked to a key that's hidden under the tray, and it animates the key up just like straight right under the banana. Actually, if I select that key, you can see, and it's got an animation, and the animation moves it right under this banana. If I edit the waypoint is where the key animates to, and so if I edit that waypoint, you can see where it moves to, and it moves right in the banana. So this editor is really cool. It's a little tricky to use, but it's not too bad. These gray objects are slots, so this is how the keys work. The key, basically the slot says a key can go here, and when it does, then you do some actions. So you animate the door, you play a sound, and that's exactly what happens. Then over here we've got yeah, I think the most fun thing here is that all of these rocks animate somewhere in the room. You can see the waypoint for this rock. Select a different rock. I can't click it. There we go. That one actually I think it gets blasted inside the tunnel. The tunnel is actually clear until you blast the TNT. So there's another slot here. So this slot like allows the TNT to go on the ground, and then when you put the TNT there, it animates a fuse, which is this fuse right here, gets animated onto, or the fire gets animated onto the fuse, and it actually slowly animates down the fuse. And when that animation is done, it like moves this big smoke effect up to where the entry is. And it also starts the animations for all these rocks to get scattered around the room. So it's like a complicated chain of events to make that explosion happen. That was not something that like, there's no like explosion that moves a bunch of rocks built into the game. everything that moves in this game, pretty much you have to create a custom animation for, say where it starts, where it ends, and how long it takes, and some other stuff. Yeah, there's custom textures. Yeah, so you can actually see the list. Like if I click on this, you can see all the textures that I imported for this level. Or you can actually paint objects too. So if I like take this chest and click this paint button, I can actually like draw onto it. Oh, this is interesting. It gets mirrored. Anyway, so you can paint onto objects. It's also kind of mirrored. So there's a lot of cool, like, fun capabilities in this game, and it allows you to do really complicated things if you want to put in the effort. It also allows you to do things really simply, just drawing on the walls with the paint tool or things like that. You can do a lot without too much fiddling. But yeah, again, I'm making more levels. I have some other. I have one more level I've published. One more level I'm working on. I'm going to publish soon. If you want to play my levels, let's discard the changes in case I accidentally change something. Once again, this is Escape Simulator. It's on Steam. You just go to community rooms, browse, and then you can search for King's Dungeon, and you can click on this one. You click subscribe, and it'll add it to your list of community rooms that you can play. And then you can also, if you just want to see my other levels from the King's Dungeon, somewhere in here is, oh yeah, it's under Seth Bling's Workshop. So if you go to Seth Bling's Workshop, you can see the two levels I've published so far. So I'll make another video tomorrow about the toy box, which is my other level. This one's a little bit shorter, but I wanted to start with a level that is more like a traditional escape room. So I made this level specifically so it could be my sort of introduction to you guys about what Escape Simulator is about, what the level editor is about. And this is a level that could be, you know, a real life escape room more or less. I mean, obviously, like using TNT to blow a hole in some rocks is probably not super viable, but everything else here you could imagine could be a real escape room. Pretty much. Yeah. So yeah, hope you enjoyed. Hope you want to watch more of this content. I've been having a lot of fun making escape room levels and playing other people's escape rooms and stuff. Yeah, thanks for watching.